Hey guys, it's Sarah. If you're new here and you enjoy the strange unusual, please like and subscribe. And if you are a usual here, today I'm going to do a story time. I haven't done one in a while, but I definitely thought that it would be something I should do, for around Halloween time. So tune on in because we're going to dive on in. Since 1878, there has been the picture of a man's face so indelibly stamped on a window of the Pickens County Courthouse that it looks as if a photographer had snapped his lens and made the likeness onto a glass pan. But it was no human photographer who reproduced that countenance, which reflects the anguish and terror filling the heart of a man who knew he was to face with violent death. The courthouse in Carrollton was burned to the ground on Thursday morning, November 6, 1876. Fire broke out in several places at the time, and for the reason blaze was held unquestionably to be the work of an incendiary. The burning of the courthouse unleashed an emotional torrent that swept away both patient and reason. The courthouse was more to the residents than just a seat of county government. It was a symbol of the defiance of Yankee authorities, sturdy evidence of their determination to overcome defeat. The original courthouse had been burned by Yankee troops under the command of General John T. Croxton on April 5, 1865. It was a senseless burning, serving no military purpose, and it infuriated and embittered the residents of the county. In those days following the Civil War, the task of rebuilding the courthouse seemed impossible. There was no money, materials were scarce and expensive. Skilled labor was difficult to find, yet somehow the courthouse was rebuilt. Even the occupying Federal troops who were camped in Carrollton during the post-war years must have been impressed by the achievement. To the citizens whose work sacrifice had rebuilt the courthouse, the building represented a restoration of law and order. It was important to their sense of stability as well as to their pride. Then, less than 12 years after the first courthouse was burned by the Yankees, the residents of Carrollton watched helplessly as the second courthouse, the one they had struggled hard to rebuild, was consumed by fire. It was almost more than they could bear. As time went on, nobody was able to point the finger of justice on any suspect. The citizens of Carrollton became uneasy and began to criticize the officers of the law for not finding the criminal. They demanded that the sheriff produce the person who had burned the courthouse so they could sleep easy in their beds at night without waking frequently to see they had smelled something burning. The sheriff realized that he must find a suspect if he possibly could. Henry Wells, an African-American man who lived in town, had a bad name. His temperature was high and he had been involved in several fights. It was rumored he had also carried a razor. No one really saw him set fire to the courthouse, but he'd been in town early on the morning when the fire occurred, and rumors connecting him with the burning began to be circulated, especially when no other suspect could be located. In spite of the fact that there was only vague circumstantial evidence against him, Wells was arrested on 4 counts: arson, burglary, carrying a concealed weapon, and assault with intent to murder. Wells swore he was not guilty and was being wrongly accused, but in a group of men gathered about the square on a sultry afternoon of his arrest, feeling against him ran high. With the aid of some corn whiskey, it ran higher until it reached a dangerous pitch. The air on that afternoon was oppressively humid. In a black, ragged cloud west of town, the rumbling of thunder lent an additional menace to already ominous situation. Men began milling about, demanding immediate action against Wells. Soon someone produced a rope, and hasty plans for hanging once were made. In an effort to save him from the excited crowd, the sheriff hid Wells in a garret of a new courthouse. But his whereabouts were soon discovered, and bent on vengeance, the angry horde closed in on the courthouse, ready to break down its doors if necessary to reach their prey. Wells knew why they were there, but he went to the garret window, his face gray with fear, and confronted them, defiantly shouting at the top of his lungs, "I am innocent. If you kill me, I am going to haunt you for the rest of your lives." And, as later events proved, he did. Just as the bloodthirsty crowd was about to get into the building, a bolt of lightning illuminated Wells. His face behind the window pane. The hot, close atmosphere of the window had been prelude to short but severe thunderstorm, and Henry Wells' picture caught by the lightning, they say, has remained imprinted on the garret window of the Carlton courthouse from that day to this. Accounts vary as how Wells actually met his death. As one story, it was the lightning that killed him. Then, sobered by the event, the crowd dispersed, satisfied that the Almighty meted out punished to a criminal. Another version of the tale is that the lightning flash alarmed the mob, but not enough to stop them from hanging their victim. At any rate, everyone agrees that this was the last night of Henry Wells' life. The next morning, a calm day after the night, a member of lynching party was past the courthouse. He glanced up at the window where he had seen Wells looking out the night before. He turned pale with fright. He rubbed his eyes, and silently cursing the corn whiskey he had drunk the night before, he looked again. And again he saw the face of Henry Wells peering down at him. He knew that Wells was dead, and he began to scream that the devil had come to haunt him. His screams brought other people to the scene, and they, too, saw the face of Henry Wells, distorted by fear, but an unmistakable likeness looking down at them. The face was still there the next day, and the next, and the next. Hundreds of people came to gaze in awe and disbelief at this eerie likeness. The sheriff was particularly upset by the accusing face. He was often seen carrying buckets of water up the steep stairs to try to wash away the symbol of the town's guilt, but he only succeeded in making the picture more clearly defined. No amount of scrubbing, not even with gasoline, could remove the image from the window pane. It's still there, plainly visible on the lower right-hand pan of the garret window. On at least one occasion, some people saw, too, every window pane Carrollton Courthouse was broken during a severe hailstorm, except the pane with the image of Henry Wells on it. And on stormy nights, some people swear they can hear Henry Wells coming from the twisted mouth of the face pan in the window. I am innocent. If you kill me, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your lives.